Okay.
Okay. First of all, welcome to the workshop. This workshop is being recorded, as we talked about, but you need to sign on. Otherwise, the screen will stay in the sign will stay in the middle of the screen. I am seeing some messages here that I had to pay attention to. Anyway, I'm Mary Greenlee. Cheryl and I are delighted to have you with us today. Now, I want to thank you for bringing your what to our workshop. It's the most important part of our working together. You have wrestled with your what, or what you wouldn't be here. What you want to have is your health info at your fingertips. We've made the offer of how to do that, and you considered our how offer and decided to have the information at your fingertips. It's our goal today to assist you in how to get what you want. We'll be using the ebook you already have downloaded, and ladies, are you ready? Thumbs up, please. Okay. Your ebook is the medical part of the Life Facts book. Some of you have this, some of you don't. This is a comprehensive guidebook that was built by a group of 40+ professionals and very experienced people. I'll talk about them as we go. They spent 2.5 years collecting and refining knowledge about what is the most important vital facts that an individual needs to be prepared for life and all the changes that happen to it, big ones and small ones. Health Info at Your Fingertips ebook is one important part of this comprehensive guide so that you will have the medical facts at your fingertips. Today, we're going to focus on medical forms and the related helpful hints in your ebook. Get your copy in front of you and follow along. The forms will also be on the screen. Cheryl's going to make sure that that happens. If you're like me, you'll want to have something to take notes on, so I suggest that you grab that too. I also suggest that you may want to write your information right on the ebook, because you can always reprint it. Then it's you won't have to compare 2 copies. My co-host today is Cheryl Bernstein, who is also the technical director. She will monitor the chat and she can answer your questions. She can also and might bring your comments to the group discussion. Cheryl, can you talk about how the technical thing's going today?
Yes, I can. Hello, everybody, and welcome. So happy you're here. I will be watching the chat, as Mary said. So if you have questions, you can type them in the chat, and we'll stop throughout the class today to look to see if there are questions, and I can ask Mary. If you don't know how to get to the chat, if you look at the bottom of your Zoom screen, there's a little sort of word bubble that you might see in cartoons, and it says chat under it. You just click on that, a window will pop open. And at the very bottom of that window, it says to everyone, type message here, that you just type in a message, hit send, and that's how we can get your questions. So we'll stop throughout to ask questions. I'll either read it from the chat, or if you have them in person, we can take them in person. So that's it for the chat.
Any questions? Everybody familiar with the chat?
And I did put everybody on mute just because that works best for the recording. So if you need to ask something, do unmute yourself, but then mute again. Thank you.
Thank you, Cheryl. All right, let's go to the first section, and we're going to be working with pages 2, 3, and 4. That's the primary medical data, the emergency preferences, and all the medications and supplements, the essence of the kind of thing that you're going to be collecting, not correcting. First, I'm going to be back and forth about these, is on page 2 are the helpful hints. There are helpful hints throughout the Life Facts book in front of every section when they deal with specific things. They are worth their weight in gold. The troops that put this all together, that is such a collective thing for you to pay attention to ahead of collecting your facts so that you are successful on your journey. Number one, review and update your medical information every 6 months. I can't tell you how many times that came up that people just didn't have that current information, which made a lot of difference. So the other thing that I want you to do is to carry a folded listing of your surgical history, allergies, medicines, vitamins, and supplements, and physicians with you in your wallet. They will be ready to access at a doctor's office or in case of a medical emergency. I will show you my wallet. I have folded it into 8 pieces. And so an 8.5 by 11 fits right in either side. And I can't tell you how many times I've taken them out of that. I remember one time several years ago when having these lists really paid off. I was at Riverside Hospital, ER, near me, and I was asked for my medical facts 12 separate times by 12 different staff members. Each time I retrieved my folded sheet, which was in my billfold, and I handed it to the staff, and I always asked them, please, to return it to me. Then I put it right back in the wallet. This has also helped me be current with the listings that I did in doctor's offices. There were times when I just pulled out the list and handed it to them. It relieved me from remembering accurate dates and procedures, and particularly exact quantities of either the prescription I had or any supplement that I was taking. Now, let's look at page 3, the medical data. And you will notice that form is divided in half. So we're going to be talking about the top half at this time. Always include the names of who completed these forms and the dates. If you don't, you'll be guessing and you won't know whether you're current or not. That form might be filled out by you for somebody else, as we are going to be talking about how you prepare for a household. If you don't find enough space to write information, I suggest you start a larger sheet, being sure that you had all of the essential information topics included on that sheet. You can see the spaces requesting names. We're going to be talking about those names. They're called advocates. Advocate is not a term that is used a whole lot outside of legal language. And I was married to an attorney, so I know about that. And the definition for legal is a person who pleads on behalf of another, as you can imagine in a court case. However, I did get to my thesaurus and they way down the list. They use the meaning to go to bat for. And that's really what you're going to want your advocates to do, is to go to bat for you. You're going to provide them with legal application and to be able to do things on your behalf when you need them. Now, how do you choose advocates? I'm going to list a number of valuable personal characteristics that our group put together as people to really look for to be your advocate. First of all, they need to be 18 years or older. Now, here come the descriptors. They're available and knowledgeable, ethical, reliable, reputable. They understand your directives and they know where to find them. They accept the responsibility and they're willing, capable, and assertive to carry out your wishes. Well, that's quite a lot. You need to remember to ask any individual if they're willing to carry out your wishes in a living will or a DNR or a medical power of attorney. not everyone is a candidate for going to bat for you. So I'm going to suggest you matter who would go to bat for you. They have to be looking out for you when you need them. Let's talk about the medications and supplements. These medical facts are important for doctor's visits and all medical emergencies. You can record this information into other formats. Mine is on a Word document, 1 page. Just include all of the information that is listed on the forms. Now, an NA not applicable, you see how that is N/A, to tell a reader that you simply don't have any information that's applicable. It's not that you have ignored the subject. I created the single pages, including on the first one, surgeries, prescriptions, and supplements, and I created a second page for my healthcare providers. I folded these to fit into my wallet, and that way I always had my medical facts and healthcare providers with me. I find that I don't have to pull out the healthcare providers so often, but I must say that my husband was the one who wanted those just in case he had to act on my behalf and find them. He's the one that started it years and years ago. They are ready to be accessed at any time with someone who is willing to assist you. Now, let's pause for questions and see if anybody has questions about what we've been over so far.
We do have a question.
Okay.
Sarah Ann asked, is the list of advocate characteristics available to us? That's a great question.
Yes,
That'd be a great list.
It's in your life facts book. Okay, and it'd be back in the important papers section. Yes, it is. It comes out of there.
But it's in the life facts book. It's not
Yes.
in the ebook.
That's correct. 3 of these ladies have the life facts book. So
if anybody's watching this recording and they're wondering how can they get it? Well,
yes.
Actually, we're going to be talking about the life facts book a little bit later.
Well, and you will have my email address. If you email me and tell me what you want, I will get it back to you.
Great.
Okay. Goodness. Okay, let's move on to the second section, and that is the importance of accessible and current forms. Let's go back to the helpful hints, or I'm going to read to you what it says. Number 4, be prepared with your family health history. Ladies, that, as you know, is the biggest section of the ebook, and we're going to spend the very last section on that, but it's important to know. And number 6 is keep a medical log, journal, or diary. We did not put one of those in the life facts book, but it is a way to keep dates and who, why, and outcome, particularly if you are taking care of someone else that has a long-term sort of thing. I know there are kids of elderly parents, and that's how they keep everything straight. You also could consider purchasing a medical USB data card from a drugstore or a convenience store. There are many samples of medical logs that are available online. Just put medical log in Google or Firefox and go see nice illustrations about the kind of things so that you can do those too. And I am sure that those are all usable inside of a computer too, to print out. Now let's go to forms 5 and 6. We're talking about the healthcare providers. I suggest you make a separate list for each member of your household. Always list the primary care provider first. People just naturally go to that. You can see the array of providers at the top of the list. There are more. There are people who use acupuncturists and people who have nutritionists. You would want to list all of those people who are involved in your health care. On page 7 is surgical history. We talked before about if you don't have any surgery, you just put NA there. The history can be on the same sheet as other information. It just depends on how much you have to put in there. I needed 2 sheets. You might only need 1. Now we're going to go to something else that the grab and go bags. This is not something that is inside of the Life Facts book. You have all the things that are in the grab and go bag, but I'm going to talk to you about this. I'm going to make some suggestions here, and I'm going to show these to you. You see these plastic folders, and they have the string that goes around, and they're easy to put together and add to and keep it taut. I am going to suggest that you have a different plastic folder, different color for every member of your household. What you're going to do is put all of the information that you need to have inside of one of these for each person. The contents are going to be different depending on the age of the people. And if you put these grab and go bags near an exit, one that you would likely do in an emergency, maybe into the garage door, whatever, and you know what color people are going for, if you need it right then and there, you just grab it and you have it all to go. This came from a suggestion of some of the people who had been early users of the book, and we just simply didn't add it. But I'm going to suggest it's the best thing you could possibly do for every member of your household. Any questions about the grab and go bag? Hearing none?
Actually, we have a question about the first page. Justine said she's looking at the first page and it states form completed by,
Yes.
then 2 revision parts, and then another name and DOB date reviewed.
Yes.
She's wondering if she missed something. Is she to fill it out with someone else?
Yes, if she can either fill this out for herself or for someone else. So many times you go back and review it, but you don't need to erase the date. That's why there are numbers of times. It's the only form in the book that has that, where there are, you can just sort of check it off, but you still need to put the date. And if yes, Cheryl, go ahead.
So I think the confusion was, what was the confusion, Justine? What, did we clear it up? You can unmute and talk if you'd like. Maybe she can't unmute. Well, let us know if we didn't clear it up, and then, yes, we cleared it up.
Oh, good.
Okay. And I'll also tell you that I put a link to the grab and go download that tells you everything that should go in the grab and go bag kit, which we'll go over now. I think, Mary, we're going to go over show them the grab and go list, and you can download your own. I put it in the chat there. It's HTTPS Mary transition time. So you just click on that and it should be able to download for you.
Yes.
Okay.
You will notice that all of the topics that we're collecting information are also listed on there. And then there are the 3 legal documents that we're going to talk about, 2 that are at the bottom of that. And when you put it in a grab and go bag, you want a copy of those legal documents in there so they are ready to go. So this is just a content list more than anything else. You have the forms will be all finished at the end. The only thing that you would that you may not want to put in because of the size of it, or you may not have it that it's as useful to you, would be the family medical history. It's a little bulky by comparison, but there'd be nothing wrong with that being in there too. So those are all the contents you should have. And thank you, Cheryl, for putting that in the chat so that people can get that. Any more questions about section 2? Okay, let's go on to the 3rd topic, and that's about medical insurance and the limited medical powers of attorney. Let's go to the helpful hints, number 3. And this is something to really pay attention to and you'll hear me talk about it again and again, and that is preparing a quality of life statement. This is to be used in case of a stroke, irreparable coma, or other brain damage where you are rendered not capable of talking or sharing things. You make your intentions known in writing and attach the statement to your living will so that your durable medical power of attorney can conduct your wishes. The internet provides a mountain of examples about these quality of life statements. They are as individual as you are. You may choose not to make statements about certain things in there, and there may be things you include that you don't find examples of. But this is, if something happens to really cause me not to be able to communicate, what do I want to have happen? This makes an advocate who would not be able to sign off and let you have the sustained life treatment withdrawn. They wouldn't be somebody who could really be the kind of advocate that you need. Remember, they want to get in there and get it done, what you want to have happen. Number 12 is when traveling with or leaving minor children with a caregiver. Prepare a power of attorney for medical treatment to be used in case of medical emergencies. There are models of the limited power of attorney, again, online. We do include one in the Life Facts book too. That statement that you have, the quality of life, is what your advocates really need to carry out things the way you want. So if you are going to ask an advocate to be for you, you would need to have that information so they would still be comfortable with it and you would know that your wishes are carried out. All right, let's look at the medical insurance form on page 8. One thing that is, again, that came up again and again with our planning group, always carry your medical insurance card with you. And you need to make a copy of that card for each grab and go bag. Additionally, it would be really smart to make copies of current prescriptions, dental, and vision insurance cards for the bag. Now, you know, there comes a time, whether it's annually or every 6 months, that those things are updated. When that comes in the mail, make the copies for the number of bags you have, go in, take the old ones out and putting them in. I can't tell you how much that is going to help. Now, we're moving to the medical power of attorney for treatment of minor children. I don't know if you have, but I sure did. I took friends with us traveling out of state, in fact, to Green Lake, Wisconsin. And I thought, my gosh, I never realized, and my husband was attorney, he did not realize either that we could not sign off on any medical treatment for those kids that we had with us. Think about the grandparents who are left while parents are going off for a convention or whatever the case. And kids' friends that are traveling during vacation or any weekend adventure, or sending your kids off to Boy Scout or Girl Scout camp and not having that ability for the temporary medical power of attorney. We are setting ourselves up for lots of trouble if we don't do it. So you make sure that if your kids are going with somebody, they have it. And if you are taking somebody's kids, that's important to do. Remember, it is 18 years and under. Are there any questions about this?
Which number was that, Mary, on the helpful hints? That was this 7?
It was 12, no. Wasn't it?
12. Oh, we're still on 12. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Very good.
Okay. How many of you have had kids who were minor who you had taken somewhere and didn't have a medical power of attorney? Anybody? Well, I did it a lot, so I was hoping to be that I wasn't the only one who did that. Okay, let's move on to section 4, which is takes you beyond the medical facts to the legal documents. I'm going to return to the helpful hints once again and read them. If Cheryl doesn't put it up, it's okay. Number 5, notify a reliable person. Now, for this case, we're talking about family, friends, attorneys, which can be your advocate or not, or your advocates, about your medical information forms and their location. Give advocates the necessary information to advocate, to go to bat for you. I'm going to punctuate the quality of life statement again. And it's also important to give a list of your legal advocates to each other. So if they aren't available, they can call someone else. Number 7 is signing a Hipaa release, the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act. This is a release form to specify the names any individual who you want to have access to your health information is set so that your doctor or the hospital or the EMS people, anybody can give that information. If the Hipaa is not released, they can't give it legally. This happened to me when I was emergency in a hospital. I didn't have a release for my son, and he was sort of taking care of us, and it was not something that I could do quickly. And he was really irritated that he didn't have that release. I hadn't given it to anybody. It had just come into being. So I suggest, particularly if you know somebody whose kid has turned 18, that you get that done automatically. There are a number of parents of college kids, and they've tried to help with their kid is away at school, no release, Hipaa release, they can't get any information. So they're getting in their cars and driving across state to get to their kid. Now we're going to talk about the advanced directives. There are legal ones and there are non-legal ones. I'm going to talk only about the legal ones today. The book covers all 7 of them. The first one is living will. This legal document goes into effect to direct your healthcare team when you're no longer able to make your own decisions. It is a statement of your wishes for life-sustaining medical intervention. Do you wonder, don't you?
Mary,
Yes.
I'm sorry, I don't know where is that?
Oh, it's not. It's
Oh, it's
not.
not. Okay.
No, I'm just talking about them.
Okay, then okay.
Yes,
Great.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
And I was so busy talking about them, I didn't pay attention. Okay, these you will find these in your book all described too, and a lot more discussion about how they are used. But these are the only ones that are related to medical. So the living will is a legal document, and it is a statement of your wishes for life-sustaining medical intervention. Do you want it? Don't you want it? You can be very clear about it. If you are terminally ill and unable to communicate, it is particularly important. You take that with you to a hospital or whatever. The only place that it won't work is if you are in transport with an EMS driver, because they report to somebody else who's calling all of the instructions for what they do there. It will not work in an EMS transport. Next is the durable medical power of attorney that we spoke about before. This is a legal document called a health care proxy. It grants to someone whom you trust the authority to make decisions for you medically, not financially. Sometimes they confuse the power of attorney financial one with the medical one, but they're very separate. This comes into play when you are not able to make your own decisions. This is the time you need to have a quality of life statement so that the person who is helping you knows what you want to have done. The third one is a DNR, and that's do not resuscitate. It is a binding legal document that states resuscitation should not be attempted for cardiac or respiratory arrest. So those are the three advanced directives that are legal, and they need to be recorded on your sheet about your preferences for emergency positions, and those things need to be in your grab and go bag. The internet is full of information about advanced directives. You will not have any trouble finding the information. What you need to do is search to find something that you can tailor for yourself. You won't be able to absorb it in one investigation, one evening, but it will give you a start to do it. And there are so many different kinds of Law Depot and other places that have official documents. Just remember, you have to sign it, and you have to have a notary also sign it so that it is legal. Someone was talking about notaries the other day, and many banks have it. As long as they know who you are, they will sign it. There are notaries sometimes in hospitals, not very often though. They usually want it outside, and almost every attorney that I know has the stamp because it is stamped on there. Any questions about this, please? None? Okay. Now,
I do not see any questions in the chat.
All right, section 5. Now get ready for the biggest part of this project. It is completing your family health history forms. Helpful hint number 4 is pretty clear. Be prepared with your family health history. That's a pretty big assignment, isn't it? Well, let me tell you about our unique history forms. We had 2 doctors who wanted a comprehensive look at the individual and their family side by side. And that's why you're seeing one thing for you and the other for the collective family history. It is different than anything I've been able to see, though I'm beginning to see with some of them, they are taking parts of the kind of comprehensive thing that we had and adding them. It was particularly about social behaviors, use of drugs, of alcohol, other things like that. They've become interested in them, but not very often. Usually it is, if you're at an orthopedic doctor, it is orthopedic issues that are talking about. This is very different. This is a comprehensive survey of all bodily functions. It is also a social behavior recording, the things that impact bodily functions. It is also a side-by-side comparison, which is unusual. But these 2 doctors wanted the individual's history right there so you could see it graphically. As you can imagine, if spouses are together, they're going to have different ones because they have different history with different families. But the kids of that couple could really benefit from having them both. Now, how do you collect this extensive data? Well, you begin with yourself. The first line of things, you go through, and everything that's applicable to you, you put down. Then you ask members of your immediate family to review that and add information they have regarding your health history and their health history. Let's say you were a little kid and you had rheumatic fever. You may not remember doing that, but it might something that a sister or a mother would put on there. And all of a sudden you would have a whole nother piece of information. So you have yourself first, and then you have your immediate family. Then you go to your extended family members to add their knowledge regarding generational health histories of the biological family. So how did I do this? Well, and I know other people have done it in different ways, but I used after Thanksgiving dinner several years ago, and I sat down 3 generations, and we recorded everything that we could remember from the biological family. I promised if they'd sit there and do this, and it took a couple of hours because there were stories that went with it. I promised them that I would give them that information so that they in turn could write their own medical health history. Okay, if you will load that form in, Cheryl. For
Hang
that,
on, Mary.
okay, that's our,
Hang on.
take your time. I'm going to say that you're going to see places where they want you to add dates and numbers. Just always do your best guess. It's better to have some frame of reference than not answering the question at all. Ladies who own the book, you have access to writable, printable, and savable PDFs. Like the ones you're seeing in front of you, but you're going to be able to download those from the website. That makes inputting and updating data much more efficient. However, if you don't have the book, I want you to duplicate those e-book pages as often as you need to, if you don't have access to the PDF forms in the book. Okay, are there any questions about that, or shall we move on?
I have a question, Mary.
Yes,
Which I
sure.
started writing, but it became more involved. On the form, as I'm looking at it, under the column that's headed self, it says the date. So for example, say that I had an insect allergy and it occurred on July 4th of 2000.
Yes.
Then I would write that date under where it said self next to insect allergies. Now,
Yes.
let's say I also had 3 family members who had insect allergies, maybe to the same insect, maybe another insect.
Yes.
How would I indicate? Let's say, for example, it was my father and both of my brothers.
Yes.
How do I indicate that on the form?
You would put in the family relationship father. In other words, you know then there were in reactions with insects, and 2 brothers.
Okay, so I would just write that, nothing about date. The date only goes under my own information.
Yes, it would be important to know that, because it gives you sort of a, yes, because we already know that self is you.
Right.
Makes
Right.
sense?
Yes.
And the insect bites, everybody has them to some extent. So you could say normal in the family relationship, mosquitoes or whatever the case may be. I think what they're looking for are extremes. Something that would put you into anaphylactic shock.
Right.
I know that I have that for bees. And one day, and if my husband hadn't been here and the doctor hadn't said, and we had the adrenaline to do it, I could have been gone. Now I know that if I'm playing a set of tennis and the bee comes at me, I tell people ahead, if I take off, it's because I could die and I don't want to do that. So I did that at one time in my life. So yes.
Okay, thank you.
And allergies would be like, it would be cats and dogs, or if there's none for you, but yet you see the family history for that. So it's what happens is when you are looking at this and when the doctor would be looking at it, what they're going to see is trends that they have to follow. My grandson was born with a valve issue. And so my daughter immediately wanted to know, did we have any? And yes, my dad had a valve replacement at one point. So you might find that there's a family history that would be important. Did he live? Yes, afterwards, that's good. So you go ahead with that kind of thing. You don't always have the answers, and you don't know who in your family is going to need it. But you just go and look at the, I think one of the things is that with the ears and eyes is dizziness. And I had not realized, because it appears in several sections in the family history. And I thought, oh, I never thought about that. But it apparently has a lot to do with vision loss and other things. So remember that the doctors that did this were being very inclusive about anything that impacted certain areas. You know, when you look down at liver disease, and you see bruises or bleed easily, you think about the sports that our kids are playing these days. My son had bruises all over, but if you might say caused by athletic whatever, rather than just sitting there and it happening. The exposure to toxins, of course, you see a lot about that kind of thing. And the recent travel is very interesting now too, because that's become a question that every time you go to a doctor, they want to know, have you been out because of the COVID thing? So as you can imagine, if you are in this particular case, they're talking about 2 years. There were a number of our vets who came back from Korea with a thing called tropical sprue. And so if you've been there and you've been out and you know that, then they might test for that because it was something that was very hard to figure out before. Moving on down the page, you have appendicitis, food poisoning can have other effects, and of course, acid reflux, which we become more and more aware of all the time. Let's go on to genetic disorders. One thing that I did not know what was the Klinefelter syndrome. I had to go look it up, and Turner syndrome too. These are very important in some cases. So this brings a knowledge to you of different kinds of conditions and the general name that they come under, like gerontoroni. Okay, moving on down to the blood things is the transfusions, which can have all sorts of complications, and cat scratch disease. There are people that have had that with all sorts of swelling and things. Well, there's some residual with that. So I thought that was a very interesting thing. Now, chronic fatigue syndrome, I don't know. Kids are tired, adults are tired, but I think if it was ever diagnosed, it would be important. Now let's move on to mental health. All sorts of things that we just either didn't think about or were things that we recorded. I think in times past, if there was some mental health issue, people just wouldn't ever admit that it happened to anybody in the family. So some of this information could be harder to get than others. The musculoskeletal, the arthroscopic surgery, which hasn't been around all that long, but if you have had any sort of a problem with it, you need to know that before a doctor chooses that over an open surgery. Joint pain is another thing. And I think when you're thinking about yourself as an athlete or a dancer or whatever the case may be, you have had all of these pains at some time. But I think to qualify it, you know, through K-12 or something like that with the dates that you were talking about before. Now, let's go on to the neurological brain and the nerve-related things. We've had a lot of information about concussions, especially in athletic concussions. That would be very important to record. I know my son in the 7th grade had one that just laid him out, and he has had trouble with even remembering that whole year. Well, if you've all of a sudden got a problem going, having that piece of information is really important. Would he remember that? No, but I would put it in as a family member. So that's one of the kinds of examples. Insomnia and night sweats. I can't tell you how many times night sweats appear in there. Never thought about that before. Okay, we go to skin and we're talking about sunburns particularly. I know I had lots of them and I'm paying the price for it. But if you know that you had that and you were working with a dermatologist and had some precancerous conditions, it would be important to put those together. Respiratory, did you know about a bird breeder's lung disease? I never knew about that. But if you were raising birds, okay, that would be something to consider. Also, using the breathing apparatus, they haven't been around that long, but you would want to put it down for yourself and let people know that that had been something that had been prescribed for you. General anesthesia is another thing. There are certain drugs that people should stay away from. If you've had 3 members of your family who have had a reaction, then they need to be a little more cautious about the anesthesia they give you. Unplanned weight loss, most of us are not worrying about that, but it has conditions too. Coffee consumption, the use of illicit drugs. Now, that is a hard thing to admit, but it could be very important. And do you exercise? Yeah. If nobody in your family did and exercise and you did, and all of a sudden you are able to avoid some of the family health history, terrific. And those last things are about the living will. And people don't realize their doctors, their primary doctor really needs to have a copy of them in your files. So if you get yours done now, it doesn't have to be the one that has the stamp on it. It's a picture of it, but you need to keep the original. All right. And post, and I will tell you, so just a little piece of education, Ohio doesn't have it. I don't know if your state has it or not, but you do. Good girl. Do you want to tell us what you know about it? Most people don't recognize it.
I live in Pennsylvania along with 2 of my good friends who are in this webinar. I learned about POST because my mother, who's 99, is living in a facility and we needed to complete that form for her. But it's basically a DNR form in an emergency. At least that's how it was explained to me. In an emergency, what type of resuscitation, if any, would my mother want, or life-saving heroic actions taken? And we filled it out and it needed to be signed by my mom's physician. So that's, and then it's kept, the physician has a copy and the facility has a copy and I have a copy. So that's what I know about it.
You know more than anybody that I've ever had on a webinar. I am so proud of you. What it does is take the hands of the physician who is monitoring the, did I lose you?
I just
No,
muted
she's there.
myself back. I just muted myself back
Oh,
because I was
okay.
done speaking.
All of a sudden my screen, there we go. It flicked too. I don't know what, maybe we're getting a storm. But it gives the permission to the primary care doctor to decide what they're going to do in the emergency unit, and particularly the transport unit. The last time I checked, there were 22 states that had it. So all the states don't have it. It's pretty advanced. But it's nice to know that it's there. And if you were using that form, you get to check it. Most people say, what's that? It's a very advanced kind of thing. And I can tell you that when my husband was transported home, he had to sign that form because his DNR that I had and the hospital had would not have overridden. So when we were taking him home, he did not want to be resuscitated. So it's a good thing to have, another option to have. So, okay.
We do have a question.
Yes, go for a question.
About the medical history. Justine said it doesn't look like there's an autism listed, that autism is listed. Would that be an other thing to list?
It probably is. It was not something that the doctors put in there. But it would be under the mental, things. Yes, I would say other.
Put it under other. Okay.
Yes.
Good.
Because yes, there are a lot of people who are impacted with autism these days, or Asperger's, or whatever the level of it. Any other questions? You'll find that there's an other in lots of sections when they knew there was other stuff that could be, but you wanted to keep it to so many sheets. Any other questions?
I don't see any in the chat, but maybe somebody.
Are there or any discussion that anybody wants at this point? Okay, if not, Cheryl is going to tell us about a special workshop offer we have to assist you with completing your goal.
So sorry, I'm talking away and I was on mute.
Oh.
I was just talking away.
Okay, well,
Thank you for that. That's so much information. That's wonderful, Mary. Thank you for sharing all that and helping everybody get going. And because Mary is a giver, and this is her passion to help others be prepared where she wasn't. I don't know if you know Mary's story. Her husband passed away 6 days after a diagnosis of cancer, and they thought things were together and they weren't. And that's how the Life Facts book was born, the one that she held up. Oh, I forgot I was going to get mine. Maybe you can hold yours up again, Mary.
yeah.
The beautiful Life Facts book, the
Yeah.
spiral version. And it is a comprehensive guide that has this medical portion that you saw today, as well as legal and personal and financial. And there's also a pet section, and personal property. It has all these downloadable, savable forms, and it's a wonderful, wonderful thing. And Mary has put together a beautiful package to offer anybody that would like to get not only your medical part put together, but all of the things that you would need should something happen. If there's an accident, we hope there isn't. We always hope that you have this all together and never need it, rather than have nothing together and need it. So with your permission, would you like to hear about this beautiful package? All right, let me share with you what it is all about. This is, look how cute Mary is. She's so cute. This is about the Life Facts book, where you can be prepared for life, which is be prepared for life and also be prepared to live your life. Because once you get this filled out and done, you can stop worrying about it. I think that especially as we get older, we always have that little naggy thought of like, gee, I don't know, I don't have the stuff together I should. And this is different than a trust. This is different than a will. This is for while you're still living. Stuff that people would need to know if you wanted to have your household run and you have things run the way you want them to be done. This would give people all the information they would need. It's a special, oops, what happened here? Loom I just got a little notice from something. Hang on. Nope, something from Loom. That we're not doing Loom. This is a beautiful package that includes the complete Life Fact books spiral edition with all the personal and financial and legal and health and end of life directives. You also get the Health at Your Fingertips 6-module video course. This is a video course that Mary has put together with recordings that walk you through the medical portion that we just did. But as you see, it's so comprehensive, having a guide, a video guide that takes you step by step, little bite-sized pieces to really help you get it all done. It's a wonderful thing that you get that video course. And you also get a 30-minute personal coaching session with Mary to help you for any questions that come up, anything that you're stuck on, anything you're not sure of. 30 minutes with Mary, plus free shipping for the book. And right now, this entire package is $49. That's like 7 coffees if you go to Starbucks. $49 for all of this. You get the book and the bonuses. It's a wonderful, wonderful gift. And with Valentine's Day coming up, this could be a wonderful gift for somebody you love, your husband, your wife, yourself, your friends, your girlfriends. We have Galentine's. You want to give your friend or your sister something wonderful. This is a beautiful gift for somebody else and for you. $49. I think it's just the book alone is $54 on the website. So you get the book, the spiral version, mailed to you. If you order it today, Mary will get it in the mail to you like in 2 days. The video course, the 30-minute personal coaching session, and free shipping. I will put this link in the chat. You can go to this page yourself. I'm going to put it in the chat right now. And you'll see, just so you know what to expect. If you're here, you just click on Get Your Life Facts book today or on this button, and it will take you to a page that looks like this. Come in, come on, open up. Oh, it's all very slow. Does this show, Mary? Does this show?
It does.
Yeah. So you see it goes to this page and it tells you again what you get. Then you just click that button and you put in your email, your credit card, click, and you get a receipt, and Mary gets the info and puts that book in the mail to you, and you get it all. You get a link to the video course, a link to set up a time to talk to Mary, which you can use at any time. And that's the dealie, Bob. All of that is available for you. Whoops, I went back to the wrong page. All of this is available for you. Oh, that's a little video I did. You get to see that too. So do click on the link in the chat and get it as a gift. Get it as, you can send that link to anybody you want. Anybody can get this special. Mary is extending it to you and your family and your friends because it is her mission and her passion to have everybody be prepared and ready for anything so that you can live your life and know that if something should happen, again, we hope it doesn't, that you are set and ready to go and you can be cool, especially if you're not the one, if it's a loved one who's having the emergency and you know that you've got everything for that person and you know what to do. So that is our special. Again, it's in the chat and you can download that. And that's the deal.
Thank you.
Mary, is this what we have?
Yes.
Justine, yes.
Thank you, Cheryl. She keeps everything straight.
Mary, let's see. Justine asked, can we pay via PayPal?
Oh,
in
yes,
this particular, no, in this particular product page, you cannot, but we can arrange it for you. ConvertKit doesn't work with PayPal. It's only credit card. But if you need PayPal, we can arrange that for you. Just email Mary and she will handle that for you, Justine.
Yes.
And Maureen asked, is this what we have? Is this what Maureen has?
Yes, it is. You have that when we were doing it with the other transition times thing. Yes. Should have it all in your inbox or already in front of you. Yes.
She's got the, no, Maureen, did you mean, is the spiral notebook what you have? Is that what you meant? Is that what you meant?
She answering?
She is not. I'm not
You
sure.
can always come back and answer that. Yes. You will know.
I think what you were talking about, Cheryl, right a minute ago,
Yeah.
is what I think we have, right, Mary?
Yes, you already have it.
Okay. Yeah.
You know, there are people who were notified about the workshop who both already own the book and those that don't.
Right.
So
right.
there are people who already have that. And in the back of the ebook, you can see that contact information, phone numbers, and all that sort of thing are there for me. Don't hesitate to do that. So if you have that, you don't have to worry about copying it out of the chat box.
And Justine, I put Mary's email in the chat. If you tell me if you're able to get that, Mary@transitiontimesonline.com. And if you want to email her to arrange paying through PayPal, I'm sure that we can do that. And if anybody wants to actually set up a time to talk to Mary, that's a link to her scheduler that I also put in. And we're going to send this to you. Excuse me, my voice getting all hoarse. We're going to put this into an email, so you'll get all this info in the email as well.
All right, now it's time to congratulate you for working to get your medical facts together and at your fingertips. I bet you some of you haven't completed all the sections, and I'm going to make it a suggestion that you set March 10th as a time you have this completed. And if you don't have it on March 10th, make a deadline of April 10th. I've observed people who have completion dates on their schedule and they get it done. I want you to honor yourself by having this done. If you have your records current and accessible, they're going to bring you peace of mind. I can guarantee it. I've lived it. And you will avoid the messy times that often happen during challenging medical emergencies. You will be free to concentrate on the emotional and social demands of these life transitions. And you won't be hunting for information. If you're ready to continue with your fact gathering journey, be sure to go to the Life Facts book and the bonus video training that Cheryl has talked to us about. Remember that the book covers 4 more areas: personal, legal, financial, and final arrangements. I've got to say, this is one of the smallest parts. You just don't know what you need until you see what is there. These are facts that everybody should have before it, whatever it is, happens. If you'd like to learn about my group coaching program, I would be delighted to talk to you about that. My contact information is in the chat or on the back of the ebook. If you would like to set up coaching for yourself independently or a group, I'm ready to do that too. Thank you for your time, your attention, and for doing one of the best things you can do for yourself and for the loved ones who you will need to take care of you when you need them. I welcome you into the world of fact gathering and making your key facts accessible, safe, and secure. It's been my pleasure to spend time with you, and I hope to collaborate with you again. Have a blessed rest
Thank
of
you
the day.
so much.
Oh, my pleasure.
Wonderful. A lot of work ahead.
There is a lot of work. You know it. There's going to, but
Ooh.
you know, when you're working with a group, you
Yes,
can encourage each other and
Right.
hold each other accountable too, Maureen.
absolutely.
So
Cheryl, it's been wonderful
Wonderful.
meeting you.
So
thank
nice
you
to
for
meet
all
you.
your hard work.
You are most welcome. Happy to be a part of it.
Thank
spread,
you.
spread the word. We
Yes.
just need to get people doing this.
Right, absolutely.
And I'll be in touch with you, Maureen.
Thank you so much. Oh, I so appreciate you.
Oh,
Honestly.
thank you. That's
Yes,
welcome.
I mean, this is so important. I've shown so many people this and told them it's not a joke. You need to do this.
If
And
I
see-
hadn't lived it, I wouldn't know. I've lived it.
Right, and you are sharing this with us who were like you in the beginning. You didn't
Yes.
know this stuff, and now we have the opportunity to